Our last speaker is Mike Bennetts, CEO of Z Energy. Mike's got 25 years' experience in the global energy industry with expertise in supply, trading and marketing businesses covering both consumer and business-to-business segments. In 1983, he joined BP in New Zealand, with his early roles being based in sales, marketing, information technology and finance. Since 1992, he served in various leadership roles in South Africa, China, Singapore and the United Kingdom. His last role with BP was as CEO for BP's integrated supply and trading business unit in the Eastern Hemisphere, a geography including Australasia, Asia, the Middle East and Sub-Saharan Africa. Mike.
Kia ora koutou. Naturally, I have to introduce myself as New Zealand's biggest polluter. If I sort of contrast myself with the others here, they're all doing things in a way that enhance the three pillars of sustainability, but they have nothing quite like the carbon footprint that I do. And if I wanted to put that in a bit of a scale, I could say that if we take all of our corporate activity in our service stations, and if I use the metaphor of one of Christopher's planes, all of that activity, if we made it a plane, is like one seat on the plane. If we then said we deliver fuel around the country through ships and through trucks, that's worth about another seat on one of those planes that fly between Auckland and Wellington. If we then said how much carbon do we throw off in the refinery in Whangarei, our share of that is worth about another 3 seats. So if we made that all carbon neutral, that'd be kind of neat. The problem is the products we sell contribute about another 2.5 planes worth of seats. So the issue for us is not so much about being carbon neutral as a business, and so absolute support where you guys are coming from. Yeah, we want to shift from being in the middle of the problem to being in the middle of the solution around the products that we give to others that then contribute to their own carbon footprint. And so I'm not going to talk so much about what we've done, although I'd like to introduce a short case study at the end. I'd like to talk more about how we've done some of the things that we have, because I absolutely applaud what has been done, and I could give you my own version of that. But I think there might be some learning for others in the room around how we've done some things. So if we are New Zealand's biggest polluter, and transport fuels make up about 20% of New Zealand's greenhouse gas emissions, at the time Z was born, if you like, back in 2010 we're about 1/3 of that, so sort of meaningful. If we just closed ourselves down, we could meet New Zealand's Kyoto commitments in one fell swoop. That clearly wasn't the idea the shareholders had in mind. But what we wanted to do was really understand, well, what in the matter of sustainability, what actually matters to people in New Zealand. So we conducted one of the largest pieces of research at that time. It told us a heck of a lot about our offers and all that sort of stuff from a marketing perspective. It also gave us a lot to think about in terms of sustainability. I organised a number of dinners with various people who would not want to be seen in public with me, and out of respect to them, I won't name them, but they were people from non-government organisations, from political groups, from advocacy groups who would not want to be seen with a polluter. And so what we did is we put together these dinners where we went along, myself and my GM of corporate, the sort of strategy person, and said, actually, so why are we the problem? What do you think our issues are? What would you look from a company that was going to genuinely provide leadership in this space? So we held 3 or 4 of these dinners, and we thought, look, we'll sort of turn up at 7 o'clock, guts our way through maybe till 10 o'clock, and then leave with our ears ringing. In all 4 cases, we were there until midnight, incredibly productive conversations, because I think we're really willing to put ourselves out there to say we want to go from being in the middle of that problem to being in the middle of the solution. And we didn't know how to do that. We then turned that into what we call our sustainability stand. It's what we stand for. Off the back of that, we committed to 16 goals, and they're all publicly available, half of which we did not know how to do when we committed to the goal. So that's one of the most, there's 2 important hows there. One how to do this is to genuinely go out there and listen to the people who throw rocks at you and build genuine partnerships. So I really admire your sustainability advisory group. It's another version of that. And then actually go out there and listen really, really carefully when you put out big goals that you don't know how to do. It's amazing in the village of New Zealand how many people are willing to actually help you solve that. But equally, imagine what it's like for the folks who make that commitment. And I got plenty of advice from above and below around, you can't make commitments to things you don't know how to do. Now, I'm a reasonably bold person. I said, well, I reckon we can, and I'll try and tidy it up and explain it later on. So we set those goals over a 4-year period. We almost to the end of that 4-year period. Actually, it's at the end of this calendar year. And what we found is that we had lots of help and offers from different people. Once they got over the paradigm that we actually aren't here to really do bad things, we generally want to be in the middle of the solution. Now, even today, I think, Jerry, 4 of those 16 are not going to be delivered. But it's not a bad outcome when you think that half of them we didn't know how to do, and even the half we did know how to do, we stood for some pretty big things. and we actually got there. Important thing for me as well is, as much as you listen to what your customers are saying, there's a whole lot of people who work for you. And I think best employers in today's world, actually the employees, particularly your millennials, your Gen X's and your Gen Y's, are looking for companies that provide leadership. They want to be able to stand around proud around a barbecue on a Saturday and not take an air bashing around what their company does. And if you think about the list of companies that are actually the ones we hate, the list is quite long today to what it was perhaps a generation or two ago. So I think there's an employee aspect to this. So when we put our stand together, we got our folks involved in that, we really help with our whole engagement. So it's another way to actually amp up your whole performance across the balanced scorecard that your shareholders expect, by getting your people really committed to things around sustainability, because then they love working for you because they really feel that they can actually make a difference around that. So that was another how for us, is actually getting our people to be involved in most of the solutions around how we solve things. If I could think about a case study that I'd like to share with you, we don't quite believe that it's all going to be about electrical vehicles in the future. And part of that is a simple metric. And this is part of, again, it's part of the story is we sell about 2.4 billion litres of fuel a year, transport fuels. Only about 800 million litres, or about a third of that, actually goes into cars, if you like. Because we actually have stuff that goes into planes, boats, trains, trucks and tractors. Now, not all of those will necessarily move to electricity in the first instance. And one reason why I personally don't fear what's ahead of us around electric vehicles is we also think about the way in which we speak to change the paradigm. So this was a fact a couple of years ago, and I don't have the numbers in my head today, but it's generally true. If we sold 20% less of our products, but we only put our price up by 5%, our profits would go up significantly. So I'll say that again. If we sold 20% less of our products, but we put our selling price up by 5%, our profits would go up significantly. We're a high volume, low margin business. So if I could find a way to work with our customers, perhaps those that won't move to electric vehicles, and find ways to help them with vehicle efficiency or other product type improvements that enable them to use 20% less of our products, and then I say, look, you're paying 20% less per unit, could I charge you 5% more per unit? We both win, and the country wins, the economy wins, and the world wins. So when you state it like that, it's another way to actually, for those employees we had who were fearful of, oh my goodness, if we do all of this stuff, we're going to sell less and we'll end up losing our jobs. Simply restating the paradigm, or finding a way to state it in a way that acknowledges the concern but takes away the fear. So we're spending $25 million on a biodiesel plant in Auckland. That plant has about a 50% chance of being profitable. And we've tumbled all the numbers. If you take the variables that we're dealing with, we're actually buying tallow, which is a byproduct of the meat industry, and we're doing some clever stuff with it, and we're turning it into a very, very high quality diesel that will actually help with the issue around smog that you see across the horizon. And there's three key lessons that I'd share with you around that. And it's pity I don't see the minister here. I mean, consistency around policy settings really, really matters. When we first got interested in that project 5 years ago, it was actually incubated by a small company that actually went broke because the policy settings changed on the way through. And I won't go into the detail of that. The point is that policy settings really matter if we're trying to get after the long-term things that are actually a part of sustainability. The second thing that we learned was, in the village of New Zealand, when you step out with something like that, we were inundated with offers of help. And that's a really, really good thing. I really want to reinforce this village piece. We could get together, the four people here could get together and talk about things in a way that actually enabled us to do something that was meaningful. But we had lots of entrepreneurs helping us. We had people who had ideas on engineering design. We had people who had ideas on actually the consumption of our products. When we said, we're in the biodiesel business, this is what we're doing, and it's kind of a tricky commercial proposition. And the third point that I'd make, and the last one I'd make, is there's a chance to really provide system thinking to the stuff we do in this space. So what I mean by that, and it's a variation on what we heard about earlier, is by working with your suppliers and with your customers, things become a lot more possible. So for example, we would not have undertaken the investment that we've made if we did not have a foundation of customers, some of whom include Krista, for example, who said, actually, I'm willing to buy the stuff and pay you the slight premium you need to make it commercial. So within the system, we were able to say, we're a supplier. We had a bedrock of customers that said they would probably take about half of the production. And that gave us the confidence to take on what is quite a significant commercial risk. Now, just in case some of you in here are Z shareholders and you're worried about the way we're spending your money, this is a $25 million investment for a company that has a balance sheet of assets of about $1.2 billion. So yes, it is a risk, but it's a moderate risk within what we're doing. And within that system, we think we will learn things in how we work with our customers and the other people as our suppliers, not those who drill for oil and supply us that stuff, but with the tallow suppliers, with the people who supply us with engineering and technical expertise that enable us to perhaps build the next plant or double the size of the existing plant in a way that we really change the economies of scale, and then it's less commercially risky for us. That's what I'd really want to share you with. And in closing, I'd say we should pay as much attention to how we do things as to what we do. And I think in the village in New Zealand, there really is a chance for all of us to make a contribution here for the good of everyone in the village.